Townsville, geographic centre of North Queensland, is situated on the coast with an easy reach of Magnetic Island and is well recognised as being the second largest city in Queensland. Winning the Foley Shield is the most prestigious reward in rugby league in North Queensland, with teams from as far away as Mount Isa in the west, Cairns to the north and Mackay to the south being prepared to travel hundreds of kilometres each year to battle out the grand final held here at the Townsville Sports Reserve in September. Tradition has built over the years to such an extent that the Foley Shield competition has become the nursery for many of the up-and-coming future representative stars who are eventually enticed to the southern capital cities. David Tosh, a former president of the North Queensland Rugby League, has attended every Foley Shield grand final since 1948.
That's not quite right, Peter. I've attended 35. I missed one, 1973. That year I was overseas on the holidays and I followed the Kangaroos around on their tour of England.
I suppose going back to 1948, Dave, at the first Foley Shield grand final is quite a little bit different to what we see today.
Oh yes, it's quite different. And that the Foley Shield was donated in memory of Archie Foley, one of the great stars of rugby league in North Queensland. Not only was he a player, but he's one of the top administrators in his day. He filled every position, I think, in the North Queensland Rugby League: selector, manager, and secretary, president, life member of that organisation, life member of the Queensland Rugby League, as well as life member of the Townsville Rugby League and South Football Club.
So if he was here today, he'd certainly be very proud of the way the Foley Shield competition has been conducted.
Yes.
Dave, just getting back to that 48 grand final, it was between a couple of cane-cutting cities, Babinda and Ayr.
Yes, I came from Ayr that year and I was very keen to see them win, but Babinda were too good for us. They won the game 7 points to 2, which to this day is still the lowest scoring final that we have had.
What's the best Foley Shield grand final that you've seen in all those years, Dave?
Well, I must go back to 1982, the Foley Shield final here then between Herbert River and Townsville. It finished up a 25-all draw.
Kennedy to dummy half. Kennedy to dummy half. Bob Kennedy still going. Looking for support, gives it away to Higgs. Higgs smothered, gets the pass away inside to Alan Davison. Davison trying to break through. Gives it back outside to Higgs. Higgs to Wells. Wells probing. Wells, Rodney Wells will score, I think. Rodney Wells is in. In he comes, right foot to the ball. Up go both flags, 22 all.
Not only was it good because it was close, it was some of the most exciting football I've ever seen. Other good games were 1967 and 1969, when Townsville played Innisfail and won by 16 points to 15. Another game when Mount Isa defeated Townsville by 12 points to 9. They were very thrilling games.
And I suppose you've seen some top players in your day go through the ranks.
Yes, quite a lot of southern players came up here in those days. The most noted, I think, would have been Jack Horrigan, who came up here in 1949 and played for 3 or 4 years. But quite a lot of Australian reps have come up here in their time, and they've enhanced the standard of the code up in the north. And we've produced a few good northerners too, and Jimmy Patterson and Kel O'Shea, well known around the south, Queensland and Sydney, and also a few others like Downey Clifford and Brian Fitzsimmons, who repped for Australia. Quite of others, too long a list to mention, I think.
I suppose you're hoping to see quite a few more Foley Shield grand finals.
Well, I hope so. Colour of the hair, I may not see too many more, but I hope so.
Well, Brian, Dave Tosh mentioned your name, a former international hooker and also a current coach of a Foley Shield side. Just what's it like to coach a side in 1984?
Well, it hasn't changed, Peter, from 1984 to 83 or the years before. It's just a matter of preparing your side properly, I think, to go out and do their best on the field and perform well, which you can only ask them to do. And the main thing is winning, and that's our intentions in 84.
Brian, you've played at every level, international, state, Foley Shield. Just how does the standard in the north compare to other centres in the south?
Well, you're talking about North Queensland in general. I think there's players in North Queensland can go and match themselves anywhere in Australia, which they proved. Just only was back in 1977 when Kerry Bastard was a young bloke from Innisfail, and the next year he was playing for Australia. And I think that speaks volumes to the standard of rugby league in North Queensland. And of course, playing in the south, they don't have the extreme heat that they have to put up with here, particularly it's in the winter as well. Yeah. Well, that's this, Peter. It's when you come in the Foley Shield final in September, October, you've got the humidity in Townsville and all over the north, and it does affect players. And we found a lot of players that come to play in the north it takes them a long time to get acclimatised, and possibly by the end of September, early October, they should be acclimatised to heat conditions, and hopefully they are.
Well, Jim, as the current chairman of the Queensland Rugby League Northern Division, which has changed its name since recent times, just how has the competition of the Foley Shield changed since you've been in chair?
Well, it's changed considerably, Peter, because in the earlier years we had Tully and Eacham playing in the Foley Shield competition, and they dropped out over the years, and then another league, Whitsunday, came into the competition. But we've retained the nucleus of the Foley Shield competition over the period of 1948 to the present time, much the same as it started, with the loss of Babinda earlier, and then Tully and Eacham, as I said, and then with the emergence of Whitsunday into the competition. And then, of course, Mount Isa coming in 1968.
Well, the 11 years that you've been in the chair, what have been the really significant changes that you've seen to the game that's affected the Foley Shield competition as such?
I don't know whether there's been any significant changes to the game. I suppose you could look at the rules part of it. The six tackle had a great effect on the game, but I think the biggest change we've had is in administration. When we became part of the one league in Queensland and reduced us from a large committee of about 30 down to 9 people administering the game in North Queensland.
Well, of course, you've got a commodity to sell now. Is it a sellable commodity in North Queensland?
I think so. I think it is. I think it's, as far as I'm concerned, the greatest game of all, and it will always remain that way. There's got to be plenty of